Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for coming. I was asked to send a presentation to Fraser Ridge on the Monday, the 14th, which I didn't. So I worked on my presentation until yesterday. This is a presentation that is some days old, so I have no idea what will wait here. I'll do this anyway. My name is Ellmer Stefan. I'm representing the Oslo National Academy of the Arts and my own modest type practice, the PYTE Foundry. And there is a diversity in my work. There's also a diversity in the shapes I draw because I'm not quite sure if it's just because I get bored. I do some teaching. I do some retail type, and I also do custom type. These are prestigious projects I was involved in. Vinmonopolet is the state-owned liquor store in Norway. There is such a thing. And I was also involved in a new edition of the Holy Bible recently. As part of my affiliation with the Oslo National Academy of the Arts, I'm part of a research project, an artistic research project that is called Formskifter. The English translation would be Shapeshifters. In this project, I'm looking at the relation between lettering and type and how these two, at first glance, distinct modes of letter production and reproduction can inform each other. The relation of lettering and type and how this relationship changing this I'm also going to ask in the light of the current technological development. I want to quickly introduce, not quickly, over the whole presentation, 3 modes of relationship between lettering and type. The first one is translation. The second one will be imitation, and the third one will be abstraction. In my work, I'm often confronted with with non-digital, non-typographic material, as in this case. This metal plug was the base for a custom type that I did together with a studio in Norway, Berlin, Oslo. And the initial one thing that was important, and that relates to the topic of translation, is to get the quirkiness of the original. And there's quite a lot of quirkiness in these letter shapes. The quirkiness of the original into a digital typeface. This is something I do regularly, and this is also something that is a rather satisfying task. As we'll see, this, in my opinion, and now I thought about this quite a lot, not a process of translation, but of abstraction. We'll get to that later. A very peculiar detail on the original is this split V that occurs somewhere there, amidst all the correct shapes of V that also made it into the final typeface. This is something coming back, and I also want to introduce this into other typeface releases. I often have these open type features that are called idiotic alternates. These are some of the idiotic alternates that we put in there. Another case, similar to the one before, again, an inscription, this time in the north of Italy, that led to a typeface made for the titles of a book showcasing the photographs by Dag Arling, a Norwegian photographer. And once again, here the original material, rather complex in its nature, should be translated into the sterile environment of a digital typeface. How this is done, I'm not going to go into the details. A project together with the Oslo-based studio, Olsen Barbieri. This is the material I was exposed to, as well as a whole bunch of images connected from a Flickr account. I don't know if Flickr is still a thing. Chromiography, a collection of metal plaques found on cars, electric appliances, and other devices that acted as the base for the development of these two logotypes. Once again, from a dirty and rather complex reality to a sterile digital drawing, this process that I until recently called translation, I would now declare as an abstraction. Another case, but maybe of a more conceptual nature, of moving from analog source material to a digital drawing, was done in collaboration with Rune Dørli, who is a book designer sitting right across the room in the studio space that I'm sharing. And Rune was asking me to treat a medieval script like a display grotesque. This sounds more than just fun, so I was signing off. And taking a deeper dive into this rather modest manuscript called Codex Regius. This was written in 1270. We decided for some letter shapes that should be not translated, as I now pointed out, but abstracted. Abstracted into 4 letters that form the base for a book cover. This is the final format of that book cover. And I started rather brutal, as taking the grotesque in the assignment quite literal, but soon went off on a more organic tangent in order to zoom in or zone in to a more a combination of the two, of the organic and the strictly brutally constructed. That was the sorry, oh, come on. That was the file that I actually should have stopped on. It stops at some point. In the same vein, but with a totally different method, I was asked once again by Rune if I could contribute to the design of this time the series of 3 book covers. And this time we did what all good type designers and typographers do when they're exposed to a task that is at the limit of their comfortability. We made a grid. So we made a grid that should then fit these calligraphically written letter shapes, which I did based on the grid. I took scans of those, cut them into pieces, and rearranged them in order to form the words that should make the final book cover. What we're looking at here is a combination of lettering, a typographic approach by cutting this into pieces and composing. If we would look at the definition of typography by Gerrit Noordzee, he would say, typography is writing with prefabricated letters. These letters were also prefabricated and later composed and applied. And also, in contrast to the first project that I showed together with Rune, these ones are not abstracting into the realm of digital vector drawings, but remain their organic and dirty realness straight to the end of the product. This one already on? I have 3 more minutes. 3 and 5. That is 8. as this is not the presentation that I have prepared, I'm just continue until I run out of time. As I said, this research project that I'm involved in Oslo is looking at the relation between lettering and type. There might be a clear distinction between these two, which the further I dig into this, the more it crumbles in front of me. It might be also that with type designers, typographers also always look at the other side of the fence, that it's much greener there. There's much more freedom in lettering. There's much more freedom in the handmade and the organic shapes that can be made with non-typographic means of letter production. Here's a quote I'm going to jump over. Here's an exception to the rule. This is lettering done with the means of typography. This is from a 1785 Tasman specimen, showcasing these letters made from floral ornaments. Small, if we bring this into our new speech, pixels, picture elements, that don't exist permanent. These letters have been, after they have been printed, distributed in the typecase. As I said, the deeper I dive into this, the more exceptions come out, appear in front of me that soften this clear distinction between lettering and the typographic design. I'm not quite sure what I wanted to say here. This is also not the typeface that I used, because this is Helvetica. No, maybe no. If we look at it historically, there's clear relation between lettering and type. A lot of lettering techniques that have been translated or abstracted, as I want it now, into typographic letterforms. In these cases where there is a translation from analog source material to a typeface, I would say that it's a craft attitude applied to a design element, which actually is contrary to what we might think about type design, where there is a design attitude, am I getting this right, applied to a craft. This is what was the intention with the commission that designed the Roman de Roi in 1693, that wanted these letter forms clearly defined before they were translated or, once again, abstracted into a typographic medium. What happens here is quite interesting. There's a sterile plan, a sterile geometric Platonic idea that then is translated into the dirty reality of punch card, which might be exactly the opposite of what I'm doing with taking source material that is dirty and translating it into the sterile environment of digital type design. And I think I'm done here. I really don't know what is coming, so.
Any questions? Excellent.
Please.
Do you work on logos and like namings and logos, just typefaces?
I do. I'm very seldomly involved in the naming, in the languaging of something, but I'm involved into the shaping. You must have some.
Very many examples of it.
It's not that key, so well. This one, for example. What I didn't mention here is that there is a translation from a functional element, and this would be part of the other presentation that is sleeping here. A translation from functional element to an aesthetic feature. In this case, it's the underline that is necessary in order to keep the whole of this metal cast bits of lettering in place, so that not single letters are falling off, but if the whole plaque is falling off. Of course, in this digital logotype that we're looking at here, there is no functional necessity whatsoever for these letters to be connected by an underline.
So it's basically just like a beautiful addition to it.
A beautiful addition, yes. That's what I do. I'm working in the cosmetics industry, and then beautiful additions. The things that might not even need a beautiful addition.
I have a question. You spoke a lot about how you're taking something dirty, and then when it goes digital, it's like more sterile. How do you find the balance? Because I'm sure you don't want it to be too sterile, and you want to keep some of the character. That's why you're choosing this dirty source. Like, yeah, how do you find the balance? And when you feel like you've gone too sterile, how do you find your way back?
This was also part of the other presentation. In the beginning of my career, I did auto tracing as a means of coming from source material that is dirty and humanly identifiable to digital drawings. But this is, once I got hold on Fontlet 5, cracked version of that step was over. So I was drawing, often not letting the source material have any contact with my drawing. So I look at something and I try to extract it conceptually in order to infuse it into my digital drawing. It's very seldom that there's one case where I put what was this? There. It's very seldom that I do this. Also, I really like low resolution source material because there's so much room for individual interpretation. But then it's very easy to go into superficial imitation, that there's a certain, a rough outline that is hard to translate into digital, but it's possible to translate into digital. So I'm more looking at a structural character, and the weirder the source material is, the easier this is. So I'm not giving away all my strategies. Yeah, approximately.
Any other questions?
Nice question. Yeah. It's just about the where the dirtiness might come back at the end. So are you interested in digital to physical forms of fabrication, when the letters go out into the world, CNC or physical computing and like that?
I very much like these occurrences when there is something that is well thought through conceptually and formally, and then it meets the real world, and then the real world is much stronger than the concepts that were imposed on it. What I also wanted to talk about is this mutual imitation. Now I'm abstracting. Once again, this is not yet implemented. Abstracting analog source material into digital drawings. What is also happening is, for example, sign painting that imitates printed letters, but in its own means of production. And of course, there's much more dirtiness there than it will ever be in especially on the screen. So I think this spiral and also these mutual influences are very nice to observe, and something that I want to investigate in this project that I cannot talk about in its full length, unfortunately. I'm really sorry you missed out on. Yes.
You mentioned auto trace.
Yes.
Sometimes you see that as an output, as an aesthetic that's deliberate. Let's say. What do you think about that? Do you have, I guess you don't like that, but do you have language for it?
I'm not against it. I'm really soft on pretty much everything. That's also part of the project that I'd like to get down from this high typographic horse that's we're sitting on, and to go down to speak to the people. I think well applied, it could be a nice feature. I'm now seeing like vinyl cut grunge typefaces that then weather again in a natural environment. Some kind of twist like this, I would very much approve of. I guess this is a bigger discussion. I guess this desire for realness, a desire for authenticity, a desire for also something that we as humans can identify with, that is lost in digital drawings, in the digital realm, maybe in general. I think it's so strong, and we need to find a way in order to combine our desire as humans with the technology that we're having at hand.
So would you describe that your process always starts with hand-drawn?
Would it?
Would it?
Oh. Would it? Can would it? If it wants.
But when you have an idea for a typeface,
yes.
How do you start processing it? Is it like, it's not all the digital. You probably still scribbling on paper, going for the authenticity.
No, it's very seldomly I take this route. I'm pretty much going digitally immediately.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think sketches are reserved for another kind of expression, another kind of fun to be had. But this might also be a cynical approach because I need to get to a product as soon as possible. So I start individually and I deliver digital files and then I go.
I think that's, yes, we move enough.